doing the right things and you're still feeling frustrated, you're still feeling burnt out. And so I want to challenge you just for a few minutes to think about this question, because are you focused on what you're doing, or are you focused on why you're doing it? That's what I want to do. That's the conversation I want to have tonight on the Motivate Podcast Show. Let's get to it. Let's get to it. So now the scripture says in Colossians 3:23, whatever you do, do it heartily unto the Lord. Now I'm paraphrasing it, of course, for the sake of time. I just want to have a couple minutes of your time to share this. So it's whatever you do, do heartily as unto the Lord, knowing that of the Lord you shall receive your reward. And now this conversation right now, this conversation is for believers. I'm speaking specifically to men that are in a relationship, particularly men that are married, and it feels like you're just doing the things that you need to do in your relationship, and things still isn't working out, right? You are checking the box, you're paying the bills, you're going to work every day, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But it feels like it's not enough. Maybe your girlfriend, or maybe your wife is reminding you that it's not enough. How do you navigate that? I mean, how do you keep smiling day in and day out, knowing that on the inside I'm feeling empty? On the inside, I feel like I'm not really adequate. I'm not meeting her needs. She doesn't seem to feel happy. And so I want to have a quick conversation around that on feeling drained in a relationship, and what are some things that you can do so that you can turn it around so you don't get burnt out in your relationship. Because here's what I know, and this is true, that you don't burn out when you burn bright for the right reason. Let me say it again. You won't burn out when you burn bright for the right reason. And so purpose-driven work doesn't drain you, it refines you. Purpose-driven work in a relationship, it doesn't drain you, it refines you. And so we want to go through that. I've been married to the same woman for almost 36 years. This year, my wife and I, we've been married 36 years. We dated for 2.5 years before we get married. I'm going to round it up, and I'm going to say that her and I have been together almost 40 years. Now I'm rounding it up, of course. Can you imagine that? Being with the same woman, married to the same woman, being together with the same woman for almost 40 years. It doesn't happen a lot. And watch this, not married feeling like it's a duty and it's an obligation. But here's the good news for you, friend. It wasn't always like this. Did I have tough times and challenging times? Absolutely. So tonight is just straight talk from the heart, man. I pray that you find value in what I'm sharing, that it can help take your relationship to the next level. Because as men, sometimes we aren't as honest as we need to be with our feelings and our emotions. Sometimes as men, we take the off ramp. What do you mean by that, Rich? The off ramp is I'm approaching a challenging conversation. I'm approaching an uncomfortable conversation. And so I'm going to take the off ramp, which means I'm going to take an avenue. I'm going to take a path. I'm not going to share what's really in my heart. So let me take the off ramp. That way